That's my cardio for today.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Here we are, Monster Motivator live, coming to you from beautiful Carlsbad, California. Even though it's raining and it's overcast, you still can't beat this weather. We still have them all beat across the country. Don't let them fool you. I love it out here. Very excited. As you know, Monster Motivator TV comes to you real, raw, and live. What you see is what you get. And I'm excited for this guest today. You know, the universe really is wild. It's amazing. It never ceases to amaze me. The last 2 days, I've had so many questions. I was on a podcast today, and so many questions came up in the last 48 hours about obtaining money and why some people have such a hard time obtaining money and then holding on to that money. Right, and I tie that into the mindset. I tie that into becoming. You got to become that person, right, to attract it, and then become that person to hold on to it.
Absolutely.
And believe it or not, we have a financial whiz right here talking about that. And when you look at his bio, that's pretty much what it says. So again, as always, the universe is in alignment. And we have Cindy on the line, so she's going to, as you guys jump on, you have comments, questions for Rich. Please feel free to jump on, say hello. We appreciate the support. And that being said, I am going to let Rich introduce himself and tell us, a little bit who you are and a little bit of your background. So, Rich Gaines, everyone wants to know, brother.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming on.
Hey, I'd love to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. It's very exciting. We've had a chance to talk a little bit. We just connect so well. It's so great.
Right?
We were chatting, and it's almost kind of, I was saying, it was like yin and yang. It's like the guy with the tattoos, right? And he's got the great clothes, and here I am. I'm in the dressed up shirt and the pants and all that stuff. But, it's all good.
You know what? It's all about keeping it real. And that's what people are starving for, I believe. Just that realness. So, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, and the story I love to tell is, so my name is Rich Gaines, and I've had a 30-year career as a tax attorney, so I went to law school and wanted more, wanted to be better, got an advanced degree in tax law, started my career. One of the reasons I love taxation is because I realized that it was an area that was always changing, and it was a place where I could really help people. When we talk about saving money, I mean, you can either keep it in your pocket or you can give it to the government. Right. And I would rather be in our pockets rather than the government.
That silent partner's rough.
It is. It is. Who do you want to be the beneficiary of everything you have? And the best part is, my wife and I have twins, and they were born on April 15th.
Wow.
So that's the universe having a sense of humor. So
right.
Rich Gaines, tax attorney, April 15th. Go figure.
Exactly. So going back when you were younger, were you did you know what you wanted to do? Were you always a numbers guy? How was school for you?
So I love to answer that question. I love the question. So I'm a high energy guy. It likes to get it done, and I always wanted to be a rock star. Right. Problem was, I didn't have a singing voice. Right. So unfortunately for my family, my background, we took the traditional route, and I got into education. My older brother is a doctor. My dad's a doctor, and so I thought, I'm going to be a doctor. Okay. And the problem was that wasn't going to work out after biology labs. Right. So I actually didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I took some courses in college around law, pardon me, and it just seemed like it would be okay. It wasn't really my passion, wasn't something that I was driven to, but when I got into law school, everything just clicked. I love the idea of the law, I love the idea of the structure of the tax code, the way it was organized and how you analyze things, and so that's kind of who I was at the time. I got very analytical, and so that's what I did. And I started a career, and did the usual stuff. Went to work, had law firms, CPA firms, learned the trade. Went out on my own for a long time. And what happened is when I turned 50, which was about 8-9 years ago now, I just realized that I couldn't keep making a living, and that's the thing that I like to talk about. That hopefully I'm talking into the audience here. So the thing that I love to say is that for 30 years I made a living. And that's all I knew. And it was okay, Raised a family, had a nice home, but there was something missing. And it became at that moment in time that I wanted to make a difference. And so I was really pulled to something. I was pushed away from doing just the transactions, the day-to-day stuff. And I knew there was something bigger, something greater, something better out there. And that's what I was looking for. And so what happened is through this whole process of my transformation, becoming aware of my psychology, my thinking, my emotions, my behavior.
Okay, so that's great. I want to dig into that. Where did that come from? Where did that start to manifest? And when did that start to manifest?
So it started to manifest when I was turning 50, and I've been in my business for over 25 years. So I mean, I think I know it pretty well.
Right.
And I just knew that I wanted something different.
So there was just something pulling at you.
There was something pulling me. There was something that was more important to people and their wealth. And when I talk about wealth, I talk about it expansively. So it's not just money. It's about values, beliefs, and traditions.
Okay.
And so when we talk about that idea of, what is the essence? What are the things that families and people really, really want? That's what started coming to me. It started realizing that there was a greater purpose to what we're doing here on this planet. There's a greater benefit that we could create. How can I use all this knowledge and experience for something greater than just I'm doing a document?
Right.
And ultimately, this all consolidated into a treasure of wealth system and an idea that we all have a treasure chest that we can open. And that treasure chest is our drives, our passion, our beliefs, money, our family. And so I asked the question, what's your dream? What's your treasure chest? What do you want? And so that's where it all came from, and that's what I built out at this point. Okay, so
now you still have your firm.
Still have the firm.
And so the branch off, give us a little, what is that? Is that a separate business? What is that?
Yeah, it is. It's an expansion of the business. So as I call it, the Treasure of Wealth System, and it features 7 treasure keys to create and maintain wealth. And so I have a course. It's called the 777 Wealth Growth Course. We provide events. We have monthly calls. I do webinars, and then we have 7 videos that are on our website.
So is it like a membership?
It's an entry level. Yeah, it's an entry level course, and it gets the community engaged with us on an ongoing basis. And the whole purpose, again, is to create and maintain wealth. And so it's an expansion. So what I love to do is I love to speak. I love to teach. My purpose is teaching. I realized when that question when everybody talks about in this, what's your purpose in life and how do you find that purpose? And so I went through that process and I realized that my purpose is to teach. I love to teach. And so part of that means being up on stage. It means being here one-to-one and doing all these
workshops, the whole bit.
Live events. We were chatting. So one of the things I do in my events is we get into exercises and we get into a lot of interaction and engagement. I have games that I've created, and these games are designed to work with people around their ideas of building wealth and mastering it and getting into legacy and all these other questions.
And also entertaining or identifying the blocks, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The blockers that people have when it comes to finances, when it comes to money. And again, that question came up the last 48 hours, ironically enough. But let's go back a little bit. So how much have you changed since you started to find another part of you, right? And that's how I put it. It's always been there. You just raise your level of awareness to be aware that it was there, right? So it's always been there.
Yes.
So how much has it changed you?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100% transformation.
In what way? In what way?
Well, I would say that in the past, let's just say that I was very analytical, very left brain, left brain.
You were the numbers guy.
I was the numbers guy, and it was all about just, let's figure out what's the solution or the solution to the problem, and the heart, and the connection, and the relational, and the smile. It took a long time to shake that out of me. And to make me, and to put me in a place where I became aware that I could have fun in life, as well as do the things that I was doing.
That's the ultimate gift, right? Because it's allowing you're allowing yourself, right? To actually enjoy life, right? Now, were you like this as a kid? Were you very analytical? Were you very serious? Were you very
Ironically, I probably wasn't. I was actually probably more fun-loving.
Okay.
You know, just kind of easygoing.
And then as you became an adult.
And as I became an adult, I'll say I got boxed into this idea of being a lawyer. What's a lawyer? What's an attorney? Doing this practice.
What's it look like?
What does it look like? Exactly.
In your mind, it looks like the suit, the briefcase, right? Going to the office.
Wearing the tie every day.
Banging it out, right?
It out.
Coming home, doing the same thing, right?
Day in, day out.
Right. And
Absolutely.
you just were in that because that's what
I knew.
That's what you believed.
That's what I believed.
That's an attorney.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I believed. That's what I knew. That's how I was raised. Those are the things that were
lived.
important, and that's what I lived. And it was okay.
Right.
That's why I said I made a living. For 30 years, I made a living.
And still did something you loved.
And I was doing things that I thought were the right way to have success.
Right.
And for the next 30 years, my mantra, if you will, is I want to make a difference.
The next 30.
The next 30
okay.
years. So how do I want to make a difference? By expanding the way people think and talk about wealth.
But here's what people are asking right now.
Yeah.
Right, Rich?
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, great. You did it. But how did you do it?
Yes.
In other words, that 50-year mark, there was something that all of a sudden the lights came on. Oh, right?
Absolutely.
And so something in you, was it pulling you before that? Before you were 50?
No, it really wasn't.
So it just...
Yeah, it just hammered me. You know, I was sitting, so the story is I was sitting in my office, and I literally looked up, and I thought to myself, I can't do this for the next 25 years. There has to be something different. There has to be something greater.
There you go. That was that aha moment. And I just turned 50 in September 5th. And I will say that it is a different feeling from 40 to 50. It's just a different. It's
tremendous.
It's just a different feeling, right?
Well, we're kind of on that downslope, you know. We're
recognizing we're in the third quarter.
Yes,
we're in the third quarter, man. I mean, listen, if we play a full game, we're in the third quarter.
That's a great analogy. I love that.
It is.
And that's where we are.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So that aha moment, that moment where you said, you know what, there has to be something more. Because I always consider this. People want to know, what's the definition of success and what's the definition of happiness? And I believe that the definition of success is living life on your terms. The definition of happiness is fulfillment.
Yes.
It's fulfillment.
100%.
Now, you will know better than anybody, right? You've been around a lot of very successful people. Very, very successful people, right? That's your world.
And a lot of them messed up.
But a lot of them are unhappy.
Yeah.
Because they're missing some sort of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just, and then vice versa. Maybe the people that don't have the financial means to live life on their terms all the time, right? Don't feel like they're successful because they have to get up and grind and live somebody else's dream.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, because you've seen both ends.
Well, that's very true, and the shame of it is that, you know, what I talk about is other people's expectations. And a lot of times we live life according to other people's expectations and those past stories that we had in ourselves. And so, you know, we get locked in by that. And what we want to do is break those locks. We want to release ourselves from, you know, what other people say. And I think the 40 to 50 point that you're making is that by the time we hit 50, we start to realize that we can get rid of all those things that don't serve us. We can get rid of all those things that aren't working for us. And I know that's what I went through. I started looking at how do I behave? What are the things that I say? How do I relate to people? You know, what do I do on a day-to-day basis in order to be better, in order to connect better? And so I started realizing, wow, all these things that I'm doing, they don't work. They're not working.
Right. When it comes for that.
When it comes to all that stuff, yeah. And so I say, well, if it's not working, you know, what do we do? Well, we got to get rid of it. And then we have to replace it. And so I had coaches, I had mentors, I did a lot of reading, you know, the Jim Rohn books, the Covey books, you know, all those books that talk about, you know, how do we achieve, I'm going to call it congruence. So my 7th treasure key is congruence. And to me, congruence is do what you love and love what you do. I mean, imagine, so we were chatting, you have another business, fire restoration business, which kind of is the bread and butter, but it's really feeding the business that you really want. And at some point, there's going to be some transition over to that, where you're going to be completely congruent. And everything you do, every single day, is going to be all designed to having that thing that you love.
Amen.
And I want people to get there.
Amen, brother. Knuckle that up, because
to
that's living life on your terms, and that's fulfillment. So to me, that's the dynamic duo, right?
Yes.
That's the dynamic duo. Here's how I like, and the people that have watched this show before and follow me, that they're going to get this. Rich, you had to start to figure out how to now balance your IQ and your EQ, because your IQ was completely dominant over your EQ. And see, I'm reverse, right? My IQ is always trying to catch up to my EQ, and I didn't know that going to school. And as you know, my story, never graduated high school, always in trouble, things never went great. And I was told, don't expect much out of yourself. You're not supposed to make it, because I couldn't learn in that cookie cutter mode, right? It wasn't for me. So we're in reverse, right? Now your EQ is catching up to your IQ. Let me ask you this, Rich. I love this.
And I think the EQ is the more important.
I was going to ask you.
I mean,
what do you
100%.
Talk about that, Rich, because you're an IQ guy, right? So you had to build that EQ. You made a great living, right? Put everyone through college, the whole bit, through your IQ. But now when you incorporate your EQ, how does that feel?
So here's what happens.
I love this.
So I've been in education all my life, right? Went to law school, did the tax thing, did all that stuff. And when I turned 50, and this was in the Great Recession, so this is about 2008, here I am, I'm a tax attorney, right? And I'm struggling to make a living. I'm going, what's up with that? How can that be? How can this guy who's done all the things right, traditional, traditional model, traditional life, family, kids, all this stuff, and I'm open. I totally share these stories because
it's real.
Well, it is real, and if I can't be open about that, then I'm not authentic. And so here I am. I'm struggling in the Great Recession. I'm going, there is something wrong here. And so the EQ is where I realized that there's a whole different life. There's a whole different way of beingness. There's a whole different way of who you have to be. There's a whole different way of how you have to, the way you act, the way that you connect, the way you talk, everything that you do in life. And so that EQ became where, and as my IQ started, and I joined an organization that was transformational, and we did these exercises. I mean, we got into characters, and we did all kinds of stuff. And I'll tell you something, that by 2-3 years into this organization, the smile was on my face. I was having fun in life. The whole change and transformation of, I have to be this way, I have to act this way, it's like totally shifted. And now it's almost more like, so we were talking, I was doing a speech, a talk to a Rotary Club, and I was telling you that halfway through the talk, I just decided, you know what, I can continue with the blah, 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 or I can say, you know what, guys, let me just hear what's on your mind. Impromptu, informal, and that was the best part. Because all the other stuff was like, okay, here's this prepared speech, and I'm doing all this stuff, and it's like, forget it.
You became rich, right? You became rich instead of that professional speaker that's, like the attorney.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to look like this, act like this, walk like this, and you became rich.
And I'm pretty animated, as you can tell.
Very animated.
I mean, this is actually hard for me.
Very animated.
Like, I want to be moving around. And
so it's interesting. You actually were boxed up, right? For almost suffocated, right? That interview for so long. For so long. I mean, talk about a rebirth.
But you know what the irony is? The irony is, I couldn't do what I'm doing now if I...
Rich, because what did we say? You had to become that person. Right? You had to become that person, and the universe says, or I say universe, life, whatever you want to call it, God, whatever that is.
I'm a universe guy.
It's always the perfect time. We just might not know what that is. And as an entrepreneur, our thing is we want everything yesterday. That's the way we're
Dave, when I look back and I think about the things of who I was and what I was doing, the universe gave me exactly what I asked for.
Always. Isn't it?
That was it. I just didn't realize that oh my God, there was so much more out there.
Unbelievable how much you were suffocated just on one end.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And someone looking from the outside would say, oh man, you know, he's got everything. But in reality,
I never saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have that level of awareness. Let's. I know we had some.
I love that.
Cindy, are you there? Cindy. I can get her back on.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Hey, I see some people jumped on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shane,
Shane Train. Thank you, man. Appreciate you jumping on, brother. Thank you for the love. This is a great organization that we just worked out a deal where we're going to be collaborating. It's Millionaires Against Bullying, and they're nationwide, and they're just killing it out there, and we're just setting everything up now to where it's a membership, so anybody that comes on as a member gets a free, my book, Knockout Fear in the First Round. So thank you, man. Thank you for the support. I see some other names, Cindy.
Anthony Steele.
Big A, how are you, my man? That's my man, Anthony. Him and his partner are killing it here in Oceanside. They have a personal training studio, and he does a lot of stuff online. Great man. Anybody else?
Tim Campbell.
Hey, Tim, how are you, man? Another guy that just makes it happen, hustles, laces up his boots, and gets to work.
Every day.
I love it. I
Doing
love
hard work. Good man.
Anybody else?
Bruna Martin.
Bruna, what a beautiful, beautiful woman. She's out there on the East Coast. Beautiful, what a beautiful, beautiful woman. Just, when you see this lady smile, it's just the warmest smile you'll ever see. Thank you so much, Bruna, for jumping on. And guys, if you have any comments, you have any questions, please feel free. This is what Rich is here to do. He loves giving back. That's what he's all about. He finally found his EQ, man. I love it, brother. I love it.
Love it. Thanks, man. It's exciting. I mean, look at this. You know,
Well,
this is
because
fantastic.
you're allowed to live.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's
And
exciting and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I can see the energy. I can see the passion in your eyes. I love it. And it looks like both of us don't have any problem finding our passion.
Not at all. Not at all.
Anybody else, Cindy?
You got lots of viewers, but I think everyone's just really enjoying the story.
Oh, great.
There's a question coming up.
There is a question?
So,
Okay.
I'll let you know when there is.
So let me interject if I
Yeah,
can.
absolutely.
I know this is something that we chatted about,
Jump in.
and it's something that I think that the listeners would find
Let's do
very,
it.
very valuable, because we talked about the change in mindset.
Yes.
And we talked about the behavior, and so we talked about creating and maintaining wealth. So the question is, how do we create the wealth? Because we have all these things going on in our behaviors and who we are and how we approach life every day and the things going on. And because you made the comment that a lot of times people have difficulty creating that wealth.
Yep.
And then the flip side is, how do we maintain that wealth? So we have it, but then we don't maintain it. So yes, it all goes back to our psychology. It all goes back to an awareness of our stories, who we are. I have these little memes, and these memes are like characters, and they're characters from our past. So we have clogs in our head, and these clogs are things like root clogs. Now the root clogs are kind of tough, because that's the stuff of Freud. It's the unconscious. It's we may not even know when things are happening. But then we have underlying clogs, and the underlying clogs are about how we grew up. And so I talk about some different characters, like the rock star. So the rock star is that person that does what? They love to entertain. They love to be in front. They love to spend money. And so when we talk about creating wealth, well, how do we create wealth if we're the rock star and we're spending it all the time? And we're not aware of these patterns that we're doing. And then we have people like caregivers. So caregivers are ones that they actually will save and save and save and save, but they never have any fun, right? And they get to a point in their life, they could be in their 50s, their 60s, and all of a sudden, their health goes bad. And what was their thinking their entire life? Their entire life they were going, well, I've got to save so I can retire, and then I can go have fun. And then their bodies are breaking down, and it gets tougher, and they can't go on those trips that they wanted to do. And, I saw on your Facebook post, it was, you only got one life. Why are you living as if you have two?
You're going to die.
I love that.
You're going to die. And here's the other thing about the caregiver, right, is they never put themselves first. And I talked about that today. At the end of the day, right? And I'm talking especially the women and the moms out there that never put themselves first. At the end of the day, if you don't put that oxygen mask on first, you can't help anybody else.
You can't lose.
The better you make yourself, the better everyone else around. And see, Rich, tell me if you agree with this. Society, the outside noise, when you can learn how to drown that out, understand who you are, what works best for you, and not let that influence you, but especially the moms out there, by saying you should feel guilty if you don't put your kids first, and you have to put yourself first.
Absolutely.
And then, right?
Yes.
And nature tells us that.
Yes.
Try the lions, right?
Yes.
The alpha lion, the main lion, eats first because they protect the group, right?
That's right.
Nature already does that.
That's right.
We're just doing it in reverse because of all this outside noise on, right? What are you supposed to do? Right? What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
What does that attorney look like?
Yeah.
Right?
Here's the society's rules, and here's what everybody else wants you to be, and
Right.
all these things. And yeah, when you get into that real and that person that you're supposed to be, you start to tune out all that outside noise. And I was having this conversation last week, and it was about this outside noise. And so it was how do we get out of these tough economic times? How do we get out of the struggle that we're having economically? With all the stuff that we hear outside. And my answer to that was, forget the outside stuff. Are you making an impact here?
Right.
Do you have your community? Do you have an influence in your community and your friends and the people that are around you? And the answer is yes, of course. So who cares what's going on in the outside community? The economics and all that bigger picture stuff. We're here. We're here, we're now, we make an impact, we have the people that we can connect to, that we can talk to, that we can make a difference in their lives and do the things that's important. And so when we talk about creating wealth, if we know that that's who we are and our purpose and what our vision is, how we're going to make a difference in the world, then we can start to shed all of that past stuff, those things that get in our way, those clouds to get unclogged.
Yes.
Things like the passion, things like perseverance, things like the lion of confidence, having that confidence. There are people out there that, they've been hurt, they're in pain. And so how long do you want to be in pain? Let's get rid of that pain. Let's take that moment and commit and say, I'm willing to do things differently. Because you know what? There's only the present.
Right.
The past, everything we just did, it doesn't exist, right? It's only what's in our heads.
Right.
The future we can't possibly know. So it's always about the present. And when we can accept that, when we can accept that present, and we can get away from those things that make us feel this way, or those excuses that we use, I'd rather sit on the couch. Now I get there's times when we're just tired. Okay, that's a recharge. So sit on the couch. I do it. Sometimes I come home and I'm like, I'm just watching TV because I just need to recharge. Because
important is environment.
Oh, it's critical.
Isn't it? It's everything.
People and your environment are everything, because if you're with people that energize you and uplift you and support you and engage you and motivate you, it's fantastic. It's effortless.
Exactly.
It's effortless.
It's the energy. And then in reverse, when you have those energy vampires, right? They keep pulling you down, sucking the energy out of you. Yeah. But you made a great point, right? Is you have to own it. So audit your environment. If that environment is not healthy for you, then it's up to you to move away, not stay there and go, look what they're doing to me. See, I think that's where a lot of people fall short. They're not willing to own it. And you have to look in the mirror and audit. Where are you at? Where are you going? Right? And that's ultimately what you did at 50 years old. You did a re-audit. You just audit your life, and you said, wait a minute. There's major shifts here. And let's make no mistake, right? The other thing that Rich did is he took massive, consistent action.
What's going on? And, you were, you were talking about, you were talking about the constant, never-ending improvement. I know what it was. You were saying about, auditing your life and being accountable and taking responsibility. That is so important, because so many people, they treat themselves like victims. right? Woe is me.
Yeah.
This is happening to me.
Yes.
I don't have this control. And I've thought and done a lot of I won't call it meditation. For me, it's thought. I've done a lot of thinking around this area of this idea of being a victim and lack of control versus the person who you see out there that they just do every day, and it's the same stuff for them.
Yeah.
And that person who feels like a victim, it's something happened where that control was taken away from them. Now, I'll tell you something. In my family, I have very high expectation parents. So imagine that here I am in education, right? And it's kind of like that traditional, hey, Dad, I got 3 A's and a B. And it's the old, why'd you get the B? Right? You know exactly where I'm going with this.
Right.
And it's like, man, when you start hearing this over and over and over, and I know the audience, for whatever the situation, for me it was the education. For other people, it's different things. I mean, other people, some had physical abuse, some had emotional abuse, and that's really tough stuff, That's hard stuff. But at some point, you can say to yourself, you know what? That wasn't my fault. That wasn't who I am. And at that moment, there's a shift in that control. And when you can grab the reins and take control and know that it's your responsibility and that you can do this and you can have the confidence to do that, man, the shift is incredible.
It becomes a freedom that you can't even buy.
Oh,
and I tell people all the time is your story's not about you. You made it through, so you can now possibly help somebody else. And I think that takes so much pressure off of people.
But the story, let's no longer attached to that story, then we're free.
Yeah.
Then we know we can blossom and go the places that we want to go.
Right. And there's a reason you made it through, right? There's a reason you made it through.
Absolutely.
You were tough enough to make it through, so why not give yourself that credit? Cindy, anybody else jump on?
Yeah, we forgot to say hello to Terry Williamson.
Oh, if I forget that, I am in major trouble, especially because I'm going to be seeing her in a few weeks in Arizona. Terry, thank you so much for jumping on as always, and congratulations on your new job at LA Fitness. I know you're going to kill it, girl, and I will see you in a few weeks. Thank you for the support. Anybody else?
Did we say hello to Tim Campbell?
Yeah, we did. Yep, we did.
Okay, I think we got everybody.
Okay, good. So, Rich, before we jump off, is there anything that you want to touch on that I didn't talk about that you want to share? Any insights that you have? I know it's I can.
Oh my God! We just were talking about this morning at a breakfast. We were saying, you know what? You have the control to be present with the people that you're with. I'm present with you right now. There's nothing else going on. I have no other agendas. This is being present. And so if you don't want to take the phone call, just don't take the phone call. Finish doing what you have to do, and then you can call the person back, because then you can give them 100% of your of who you are and of your
biggest commodity,
of your attention,
and your biggest commodity, your time,
and your time and your attention.
You're right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
I love that. I love that.
I think I think that's. I mean, there's all this wealth stuff, and we can talk about all that, but
that's a byproduct.
That's a byproduct
of what's up here and what you can attract and what you can obtain and what you can hold on to and then grow from. Because whether we're talking finances, we're talking relationships.
It's the road, maybe the storm, yeah.
But I know that. So before we jump off, a real quick overview on what we talked about today, all this value that I love, because it's all about life. It's all about the EQ. Listen, you have to own it. You have to audit yourself in a real honest way, and you have to give yourself stop asking for permission to live. Stop asking for permission to live, and I think that would be a great overview on what we talked about today and what you finally were able to do. Stop asking for permission. I can find this other part of me. What an amazing gift, man!
Love
before
that.
You left this ride, right?
I love that.
What a great, amazing gift. So we're gonna end it, right, Rich, and you're gonna love this, man, with the Monster Motivator roar. Are you familiar?
Not actually.
Okay.
So,
So is there anybody else, Cindy, before we jump off? Live your life, roar like a lion or purr like a kitten, right?
Yep.
And here's the other thing. Here's what this does. We can only be in one state at a time, right? We can be in gratitude. If we're in gratitude, we can't be in victim.
Right.
But if we're in victim, we can't be in gratitude.
Absolutely.
This puts you in a complete and utter unstoppable state.
Oh, I love
So
it.
here it is. You ready?
Yep.
So before we do this, guys, Rich, how can we reach you? How can we find you?
So I have a couple of websites.
Okay.
One is www.treasureofwealth.com, and the other is www.legacy-legal.com.
Okay.
And I do have a book. It's called The Magic of Money.
Okay.
It's 21 action strategies to make money work for you, and that's on Amazon if people want to look at it. And so that's how, and then my email, if you want to email me for questions, is rich@familylegacylegal.com.
And what about Facebook? And so, Monster.
Great! Awesome!
Oh man! So here we are.